Join our knowledgeable hosts as they dive into the captivating universe of comic books, movies, TV shows, and pop culture. Get ready for vibrant discussions and a shared enthusiasm for all things superhero and beyond. A comic podcast straight from the panels. This is Beyond the Capes.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Cape podcast. Returning again is Tim of Uncensored Nerds. We are here to drop some knowledge on everyone listening. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, man? How's everything?
We're always glad to have you back. So for Uncensored Nerds, and a lot of our listeners, you guys might be familiar with his podcast, We Got Issues. That was always one of my favorites. We're here today to announce Uncensored Nerds Network, correct?
That's right. Not only just a network, but there's a big announcement to for everyone too as well, all of your listeners and yourself. So I'm pretty excited about it. You want me to say it, or you're gonna say it?
We'll get to it. We're getting around.
All right.
So we at Beyond the Cape will be joining the network. You will be able to find us on the Uncensored Nerds Network on Spotify, along with a whole bunch of other great podcasts that are joining the lineup. Which is, like I said, this is great to join. You got so many good people joining. We're happy to be a part of it. Where did you even begin to get this started?
It's pretty big because the thing is that the state of the state of a comic book podcasting on YouTube and all that stuff. It's a little bit more wonky than it actually is. It actually stems back in the 2017 when I first started the podcast during my LCS time when I had the LCS. And, the thing is that we were passionate about comic books, but we didn't really know how to get that knowledge and get that passion out in the world. So there was a lot of things that was happening during that time in 2017 that we were experimenting with. There was an earlier version of Uncensored Nerds. It was actually called Uncensored Reviews, and it was just myself, a bunch of my friends, and my employees. We were doing it, but we were going about it the wrong way. It was more of like a cloud chasing kind of thing, and that was something that So a good friend of mine, John Boy Myers. You guys know who John Boy Myers is. He came on the podcast and whatnot, and then he laid it down on me, man, during the podcast, and it's still up on YouTube too as well. He's like, the thing is, he understands where we're coming from, and he understands the passion and all that stuff. But what we were doing was we were approaching it in a way that was not good for anybody. It was just a bunch of cloud chasing and all that stuff. So, he sat me straight. And since then, there was one more incident that happened too as well, that then Ross Rich, he sat me down too as well. And he told me he told me the almost exact same thing as John Boy Myers did. And everything kind of pretty much straightened out. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to be on the YouTube scene anymore because, one, my age group, the target age group is not there. Okay, no. I'm not targeting preteens and teens and people in their teens. Okay, so that's not my target group. And another thing is that I didn't want to be in that cloud chasing environment. And I wanted to let people know how much knowledge that I have since I've been in the industry. I've been exposed and been in the industry since 2007. I wanted to get that knowledge out and somewhat of an insider knowledge too as well, to get people excited about comic books and all that stuff. And I said, I'm not going to be in the YouTube space. So I made a decision to basically sign up with Spotify and become exclusive there. And everything kind of blew up. It went from 60,000 followers and listeners to about 150 now, 150 plus, 150,000 followers now and listeners on Spotify. So, and the way I look at it is that there are a lot of other comic book podcast based shows that needs attention, but they don't get that attention because essentially um they just get shadowed
Yeah.
or overpowered by the clouds that's happening there, right? Yours is being one of them, Beyond the Capes one of them, Comic-Con podcast another one, Plot Host Pros another one, and I have two that I'm working on right now. One of them is pretty big, he's established something pretty big on his own already, but I think that it could be something bigger too as well. But the other two I'm working on, those are the type of podcasts that needs more exposure and that needs to be more in the front line when it comes to true comic book fans and collectors. It shouldn't be, just cloud chasing. I mean, like, it's entertaining. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I like watching it too. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, that's funny, but you know, it just kind of wears off a little bit, right? So with Spotify, not only that there's an exposure of 150,000 followers and listeners, but the countries that we're we're in 68 countries. We're in the top 10% of Spotify videos. Amazingly, South Korea is one of our top ones too. It's awesome. And about 300 out of the 150,000 followers that we have, we are number one on their list, and we get watched about 3.4 times. So the way I look at it is that I want to do something for people who does good content podcast, because I know how hard it is, man. It's hard to get in that podcast landscape, and I've been one of the lucky ones that was part of that pandemic boom, right? Yes, I started in 2017, but I was part of that pandemic boom in there that a lot of people followed. So I want to do something for other podcasts out there, right? I reached out, and there's some podcasts I really like. Yours is one of them, and then Comic Com's another one too. And this is going to be the network on Spotify. Is going to be one of those, you know, as cliche as it sounds, it's going to be like a one-stop shop for comic book podcasting. So you don't have to keep looking for what you like. You wanna hear about artist interviews. We got issues in there, right? You want to hear about their personal life, not personal life, but a little bit more personal on the artist. Our new my new show, Untold Origins, going to be there. You want to know about weekly reviews of books coming out. Comic-Con podcast there. You guys want to know about great indie books that's being published out there. Beyond the Capes there, right? And indies is something that a lot of people kind of overlook, but to be honest, your favorite creators started from indies. That's where they all started from, right? Like right now, one of the best writers that I've interviewed, that I've known, is Erica Schultz. She started from like an indie too as well, right? Agnes Garbosa is another one that was like an indie creator. She started as an indie creator, but now she's actually pretty big now too as well, right? All these people started from an indie part, and I think it's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool that the fact that they started they started doing podcasting on your show, and then all of a sudden they're gonna be like pretty big pretty soon, right? And be like, yeah, man, like they were mine first, man. Like I interviewed them first, right? So
let me show you the episode.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, let me show you the episode, right? And and you do a lot of like good, great interview. You had Steve Orlando at your podcast at 1.2 as well, right? So that was actually pretty cool, right? Steve Orlando, started as indie too, but now he's pretty big, right? So that's pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited about the network. I'm looking to get everything launched in the next 3 weeks or so. Website is coming along. There's going to be ways for you guys to support Beyond the Cape too as well. If you guys really like what you're seeing, if you are a business too as well, LCS, local LCS and whatnot, you guys want to be exposed to a lot of audience, there's a way for you guys to do that too as well. And it's all going to be revealed in there in the next 3 weeks. But I'm really excited to have Beyond the Cape there, because that is somewhere that That is a podcast I do listen to as well, because I got to know my indie stuff too, right? So
That's right.
I got to know
Yeah,
my indie stuff, man.
for sure. And we're here to provide that information. And it's funny you bring up the podcast, because when we first started this, number one, I never thought we'd get to this part. I'm gonna be honest with everyone. This happened pretty fast for us. But the clout thing, that was a big one, because Whatnot. I remember when Whatnot first came out, and everyone's like, "Man, this is gonna be this is the savior for comic books. This is how we're gonna get comic books to the people." And I have to say, Whatnot started off really well.
Did, yeah.
And then some tomfoolery, as we'll call it, happened. I was actually at C2E2 for Acetate Gate, and Whatnot.
Acetate Gate, yeah.
And then after that, it was just crazy, because then every creator was chasing a team up with variant covers, which it's fine. Like, if you have a big time collectibles, I love their Green Lantern one that they did. I have all of them. I love the variant covers. But I don't think I could ever do a show and say, you need to buy just this variant cover, and when it's done, let's sell it. Let's move on to the next variant cover, without even mentioning, why do I like the story? Was it good? Did I like the lettering? How was the lettering? Did the interiors capture? Can you tell that they are from this city? That was really hard to define, because those are the people too. Like, when you look in for examples of what podcasting for comic book space is, how can you be good? Those are the prime examples that come up. And then you're like, man, so do I have to do that, or should I stick with what I want to do, like Beyond the Cape? And we just kind of play it. We know we're not going to get as many followers, but the product I'm putting out there is a lot more substantial, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things. When Whatnot first started, I don't think it's just, Whatnot was like not the catalyst on it. I think they were more of a spark for it. The catalyst on it was in the pandemic, because really nobody really what they wanted to do, and the podcasting was actually something that that came about, and and I think that people's frustration with the lockdown kind of manifests itself to the collecting industry, where they're kind of just frustrated with the fact that there wasn't that the comic books were coming in late. Not only that they were coming in late, but the product wasn't something to their liking, and then they're just kind of projecting it. So essentially, the collecting or the fan base industry kind of just divided into two. One would just be cloud chasing, and the other one were just like, well, we're still fans and we just want to read comic books, right? And then when everything kind of opened up a little bit, Whatnot was there, and there was a kind of like, if you really look at it in more deeply, there was a power struggle between collectors and flippers on Whatnots, right? Like, collectors wants to share and sell their collectibles that they have, right? That they've had all these times for the amount that they know what it's worth, where you have flippers who wants to buy it cheap so that they can sell it for 3-4 times the amount, even though they don't know what they're kind of selling. And then all of a sudden they caught wind of exclusive variant covers, and then they found out how to partner up with other stores to do the exclusive variant covers, and then the stores who are kind of either struggling or trying to stay afloat, they're like, why not? That's money. So they're doing all these exclusive covers that makes no sense, and and titles that means nothing at all, but they're doing a lot of exclusive covers and all that stuff, and all of a sudden we have the state that we are right now. I'm not saying that it never existed before. I'm just saying that it was something that kind of exaggerated in the last 7 years, right?
Oh, definitely. It got amplified tenfold. I mean, if you look at, I think Thundercats #1, which Thundercats has been a great series. I just don't feel like a lot of people have read it. But I think issue 1 had, I think they said 68 variant covers for the first issue.
Exactly.
That's insane. I can't even believe there has to be losses galore for printing that many.
This is why, like, I like what what Ghost Machine is doing. I've interviewed Carter Andrews and Stephen Platt and all that stuff. So a lot of the '90s artists and creators, and we talked about like Ghost Machine, and what Ghost Machine is doing is they're going back to the basics where the '90s and the '80s was, where there has to be and Francis Manipul said this on our podcast, on our interview too. There has to be some good stories to be told in order for you to care about the characters, right? They can't be, and he says he can't be an event. Like, we're not going to just throw an event at you and say, hey, this is what's going to happen. It's like, no, you have to know about the story first. You have to care about the characters, and then you can move on to an event, right? You have to care about the story, you have to care about the characters, and you have to care about the and the events. And then and then they started doing this grassroots, like a digital grassroots thing. They rolled up their sleeves and they went to every single podcast and they did interviews. Doesn't matter if you're small or big, but the podcast that they went to is very interesting, is because they never went to any podcast that has a lot of following that are just based on clout. It doesn't matter who they are. They went to podcast. They would rather go to the smallest podcasts ever, as long as they're not clouds. And it's like the most amazing thing. And they started this kind of movement where there should be more caring about collecting and caring about the books, and that's just amazing, man. That's just beautiful, man. So that's basically where like I started to think about it. I'm like, you know what, I can't share. I'm not share. I can't keep all these followers and listeners just to myself. There's people out there that need as much exposure as I'm getting now too as well. And that's where I came up with a network where I'm just like, why don't I form a network where everyone that deserves to be seen can also upload on the network, where it has a vast amount of listeners and followings, all looking for great content for comic books. And that's where it came from. And I can only see it growing. There's an initial 4 that's going to be joining in, but there's going to be more out there, right? So on a weekly basis, man, there's going to be an infinite amount of great comic book podcasts and commentaries that you guys are going to be listening to. And the great thing is that you don't have to search, because they're all there now. You can just listen to one after another, whether you're at work, you're traveling, you're at the gym. I don't know why you'd be listening to us in the gym, but that's kind of weird.
Hey,
you listen to music when you're in the gym, man.
No, I love a good podcast at the gym. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Really? Yeah, AC/DC,
I love it,
man. Oh man, you gotta listen to some AC/DC. And for me, I've been pumping a lot of 80s lately. It's kind of weird. Like when I do like, and that's just like all out of topic, but when I do squats, I don't listen to a lot of like hard music. I like to take things slow, man. I listen to like Phil Collins, man, Paradise. Paradise, right?
Bush? Yeah.
What is that? Yeah, yeah. So
by Kate Bush.
See, you gotta have to like slow it down, right? I listen to Paradise. I listen to Alone by Hearts, that kind of stuff. When you're doing squats, man, those are my jam, man. Like Paradise hits really, really well when you're in that last set, man.
All right, anyone listening, try it out.
Yeah, man. Me, you, Paradise. Dun, dun, dun. Oh man, I should go to the gym after this, man.
There you go. You're ready. You're ready to go. Now, I will say, shout out to Ghost Machine, because Jason Fabic, when he was on the show, gave us probably one of the best sentences I've ever heard in my life. And that was, he said, you want to draw a story that if Netflix ever decided to produce it, it was going to cost them $200 million to produce a single episode. That was the best thing I ever heard. And when you read Rook, you can exactly tell what he meant when he said that, because there is zero way that someone at the animation studio is just scratching their head like, how in the hell would I even come close to animating this?
The costume itself is already like what, 350 million right there already on costume, man. Easy, man. Especially on one of the characters. What's his name? Hog. One of the oh my god, that man's massive. Like that's already. that animation for that is already like you have to get like what's that guy's name from the Lord of the Rings?
Oh,
The tall freaking huge guy. Oh man, what's his name? Not the
not
mountain.
Vigo.
The
Oh yeah.
mountain.
Clegane, or that's his Game of Thrones name. Who is it? Julius.
Yeah, the
Julius half Shorten, or I
yeah,
think.
something around
Yeah,
there. Yeah, he's from Miami and all that stuff. But yeah, you got to get the mountain to play
for sure.
Hog, man. Like that's just gonna be crazy. But like the costumes and that, like what they produce in Ghost Mission is amazing. But I'm looking for Soulless, man. Soulless
Yes.
is from McGee. Oh my god, man, that's like the synopsis on it is already it's already amazing in how it sounds, and I'm just waiting for it, man. I'm just like, yo, I know you're in Hollywood, man. I know you're doing a lot of stuff right now, but we got to get the Soulless in, man, because like I don't know, I'm so hyped up for that. I'm more hyped out than that. I know I was looking forward to Rocketeers a lot, because Francis Manifold is like my favorite, one of my favorite
Oh, he's so
creators.
good.
But Soul is like something that I'm just like, yo, like when that thing drops, it's gonna sell in thousands. I'm predicting that's gonna be going to at least fifth printing. That's just
Yeah,
my thing on it. Hopefully
I
this year though.
I believe that 100%. I don't think they've missed. Devour was another one that I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, because Hyde Street was really good, but Devour,
Mhm.
if you guys haven't read it, I love a good horror comic book, and we've had nothing but an insurgence of them.
Yeah.
Devour was so well done.
Yeah, you know what they need is they need to get Ed Bennis, man. Just do something. Like
I'm all
get like
for
the
it.
90s. Yeah, because like get Ed. I'm like I follow Ed Bennis in on Instagram. Man, he hasn't missed a step, man. It's just amazing. And I'm looking forward to what Stephen Platt is talking about, man. Because when I did an interview with him, he's doing a project with Ghost Machine. He didn't say the extent of that project. He never said how short or how long or what it even is. He said there's something that's been working out. I was like, what? That's gonna be crazy. So whatever Stephen Platt is planning in there, that's something to watch out for. But I think 2025, Ghost Machine is gonna come out swinging again. I don't know what they're planning. I wish I do know. But New York Comic Con, I think they're gonna have their get together again. So that's the best way. Are you going to New York Comic Con, by the way?
We're gonna work on it. That's the
And
goal
work
this
on it.
year.
How about C2E2?
Oh, I mean, I'm 30 minutes away from the city. I'm there every year. I
But
never
no,
miss it.
no MegaCon.
Work right now is a little,
Yeah.
it's a little tight. It's on the horizon.
No, it's understandable. I always tell people, man, like, you guys have real jobs. Like this is my full time. This is not a real job. So 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 when people were like, yeah, man, I can't do it right now. I'm like, yeah, I get it. You got a real job, man. This isn't a real job. But no, I'm looking I might go to no, for sure I'm going to New York Comic Con. That's for sure. I'm looking at C2E2 right now, so we can meet up in C2E2, man.
For sure.
I know WonderCon for sure because Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee's
Yes.
going to be there, and it's about time to that they announced this. But Amazing Comic Con in Vegas, is coming back to Vegas, so that is big too. Because Vegas is only about 4 hour drive from me.
Yeah, boss.
So
And that's such a great venue. You get so many people
yeah,
flying in and out of there. It's so easy to
yeah,
get to.
it's Vegas, man. Why not, right? So you
What
should come to man,
exactly?
Vegas, dude. Just call in sick.
Yeah, you know what? I have considered it, 'cause especially since I've never been to Vegas in my life.
You have hold on, man. Okay, we're gonna put a pause in this on the comic book talk. You haven't been to Vegas, like
Nope.
ever?
I've been to almost every city around, which is crazy because I was born in California, so it's
And you
crazy to
haven't
me.
gone to Vegas? Oh my
Never been to
god,
Vegas.
dude! Like you are missing out, man.
I really want to go for the F1 race. I said, this is my time to see an F1 race. I said, this is going to be great. Let's go to Vegas. And then I looked at the prices and I said, all right, maybe this is not the time right now.
Yeah. Okay, I might be a little bit biased because Vegas holds a special place in my heart. Okay, this is just a little bit off topic, but in Vegas, that's the first trip that my wife and I went to when we were going out. like like a couple trip. We went to Vegas. Vegas is also where I got engaged. Vegas, not the strip, but just off Vegas in a place called city called Henderson. That's where I got married, right? In terms of like my little one, I'll just let you use your imagination, but that's also in Vegas. That was also in Vegas. Uh, so
It
Vegas
holds a
holds a
special place.
yeah, that
Yeah.
Vegas is just a place, man. So like Vegas is like my spot. So if you ever go to Vegas, man, when you go to Amazing Comic Con, dude, I know spots in there, man. I know spots. I will tell you this though, don't fall for those like don't go to the middle of the strip. The middle of the strip is just for like,
Tourists.
Yeah, well, not tourists, but like it's for younger kids nowadays, man. Like,
yeah,
like,
no,
like
that's
if you
not
were in
me.
if you're in your 20s, mid 20s, early 20s, yeah, why not, man? Go to the middle of the strip and do all that stuff. But that's all the whole kind of you can say trap on it, but old folks like you and I, we stay outside of it, like man,
Absolutely.
the north and south part of Vegas. But you should I should take you to the Bunny Ranch, man. So
Perfect. Everyone listening, if you're born like I was in the 90s, you know exactly that show. Don't pretend that you don't know that show. We all
everybody
know that
knows
show.
it. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows the Bunny Ranch. Don't pretend you know.
Yeah,
But
don't
yeah,
pretend.
man, I say, man, you should make that. I say make it plan, man. Amazing Comic Con Vegas is always fun, just because yes, it's in Vegas, but also like a lot since it's in Vegas. They don't have a hard time asking artists to come to a Comic Con in Vegas. Like all they have to do is be like Vegas. They're like, sure, why not? Right?
Exactly.
So it's a place to be, man, for sure.
Yeah. Now, and your take on this, and I know this has been interesting for us, and just talking about Ghost Machine, being that we do a lot of indie creators, along with some bigger names, but we do a lot of indie. I love indie because all those people put their heart and soul into these books. They're very passionate about their story.
Oh yeah.
And seeing Ghost Machine, I think, succeed has really given a lot of indie creators that sense that even though it's hard work, it can be done if you're hungry enough to push the story.
Yeah.
But I will say Diamond declaring bankruptcy and possibly not having a candle anymore in the comic book distribution. I know a lot of indie artists that have reached out to us to do interviews because they're not sure that they're going to get the coverage anymore in the magazines for someone to say, oh, let's give these indies a try. I don't know if you've seen that at your LCS, but luckily our LCS is very good about ordering indie, and I try to keep them up to date. But it is a frightening time.
It is.
But it's also exciting.
It is something that it is unprecedented in terms of recent memories. Like if you were to ask about it from like, I would say the OG collectors, the ones that's I would say they're in their late 50s now, I would say late 50s, early 60s, the ones who've been collecting since like 1970s or so, or 80s even. They're the ones who kind of saw this happened before, because when Diamond came to prominence in the 80s, they started buying out all the other distribution companies. So because they wanted to be like one of the only ones out there, right? So this is something that they've seen before. So it's kind of like history is kind of repeating itself in a more different kind of alternate universe kind of way, because instead of things being bought out, what's happening is that they're moving away from Diamond, and Diamond kind of just, kind of phasing out. Now, I did when I did my interview with Swaggle he did make a good point that bankruptcy does not necessarily mean that they're going to go away right away.
Yeah.
It just means that they're trying to protect the assets that they currently have right now while still in operation. That's basically what it is. It's just that they cannot apply for any credit or whatsoever. So Diamond is stuck with whatever they have right now, right?
Correct.
So they'll be able to provide things like the books for you, but it's not going to be on time as it was before. Like It's not like it was in time before anyways, but it's
Correct.
not going to be, but it's not going to be as fast paced because you need credit, you need people to invest and all that stuff, which investors are probably going to stay away, right? So as of right now, this big distribution of comic books just became the most tiniest one as the day goes by. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So
Exactly.
they're not going to go away. They're still going to be there. And I do see that when I had this discussion with Swaggle, essentially, yeah, there is some uncertainties in there because we are now experiencing what happened back in the 80s and 90s when they were buying out distribution, where people are just like, what's going to happen to my comic books and all that stuff? Who's going to do this? The twist there is that we are more prepared this time around than they were back in the 90s, because back in the 90s it was just distributing comic books like hard copy. Nowadays we have the means to actually distribute and print our own books now,
Correct.
right? And and the fact that like you said, the indies are like pretty much kind of concerned like how are we going to get the word out, right? Because there's this new medium that we don't know how to utilize yet, and that's where the podcasting and all these things come into play, right?
Definitely.
Which podcasting that's not doing cloud chasing comes to play, and that's where I saw a lot of things too. I'm like, well, there's going to be more greater demand for people who actually love comic books, who actually review comic books and give constructive criticism, not just clout, just for the sake of clicks, right? And I think that's when you're going to start seeing your channel grow a little bit more, right? Because people are like, yeah, they see that you love comic books and they see that you love reviewing these and they want to be part of that, right? And I think that it's going to spark a little bit of a revolution in there where the cloud chasing will just have their own ecosystem and they're just going to be there, kind of like Comicsgate, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Comicsgate is like that kind of very right-wing comic book kind of thing, but they have their own ecosystem and they're just there, right? They're not harming anybody. They're just there in the corner, right? And I think that's what's going to happen with a lot of cloud chasing comic book based people, is that they're just going to be there, but they're not going to be harming anyone anymore. And then podcasts like yourself, like Comic Con Podcast, and other ones like Black Comics is another one too as well. And Swaggle Haas, those ones are going to be rising into prominence. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah.
So that's something that's exciting. It's not going to happen overnight,
No,
but it will happen eventually, right?
no, and I think it's great that I don't think it's great because Diamond is, again, they're a pillar of the comic community, whether you love or hate them.
Yeah.
They've been around for a long time, so you shouldn't be happy that like, oh, thank God they got my books late. Listen, it's a rough business. But I do think it's great that you got Ghost Machine and Tiny Onion out before this happened, so you could show people that it is possible to really build up a unique storyline and get your comics out there.
Exactly.
You don't need to be Marvel or DC.
Yeah.
You might have to do a little bit more work, which, like I say, as we said, Ghost Machine, they hit the pavement hard.
Yeah, man. They
like the best model.
That they rolled up their sleeves, man. They know that they can't just depend on their names. Like, yeah, you have the names, the creators there, but they're like, no, that's not enough. We got to get out there, right? So that's what separated them from everybody else's. That's why they continuously sell out every single one, right? They know and understand how things are in the comic book industry and how things are when it comes to promoting and people reading them. So, big shout to them, man, because like that's something that a lot of people don't realize, man, because a lot of people, a lot of creators, there's still a lot of creators out there that believe that exclusive variant cover is a good way to do that. And that's becoming like a dying breed now too, as well, even though it was first made so that it can help creators be noticed, but now the exploitation of flippers is, with the exclusive variant covers, I think that's going to be winding down pretty soon. It's still going to be there. Like, again, like I said, they can have their own ecosystem. Like if you haven't gone to Whatnot for like the longest time, like I haven't been in Whatnot in like a couple of years already, and then you kind of just click on it once in a while, and you'll see people just still going, yeah, the exclusive variant card for this and this, and you're just like, oh man, are you serious? Like they have their own ecosystem in there
For
now.
sure.
You know what I mean? So if you want to dive in and just like take a peek, you can, but I don't think that you should be drawn to it because that's just how that marketplace works. It just works out of just rotating, doing the exact same thing over and over again. You can get some cheap books in there. I can tell you that much. Like that, like that person who sold a 181 for $4,000. That's a possibility of a 9.6 at least. Right. That was I wish I was in that auction, man. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I was in that. I would have taken it for $4,000. That's
I would have
insane.
loved to have seen him. I can't even believe. I still to this day.
It's insane because it was like it was at least a 9.6 for $4,000. That is a deal.
That's a steal easily.
That is, oh my god, man! Because like just get it graded, and all of a sudden you're on vacation, man. You're in San Tropez after that, man.
For everyone listening, it's not that I'm against, and I'm pretty sure Tim's not against either. I love a good variant cover when you get an artist that's really passionate about the story and wants to do it. Jai Lee, Frank Miller, when he does like the Batman black and white, they are spectacular.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't need the entire Marvel roster from A to Z to make a variant cover.
Yeah, no, for sure, man, for sure. Like, I'll take a variant cover that's by Stephen Platt, 100%, man, all the time, man. I'll take a Stephen Platt. Why not? The great thing is that these 90s creators is coming out of the woods, which is insane because like they should have never left anyways. But if you listen to the interview that I had with Stephen Platt and Carrie Andrews, essentially they had other priority things. I mean, like Stephen Platt's been doing like music videos and movies. He's the one responsible for Iron Man, the way the MCU, the look and feel of the MCU. He's literally the guy who's responsible for it. He was the storyboard artist for that. You know what I mean? So he did the amazing thing is that just off topic, he did music videos for Joseph Kahn, man. Like that's actually pretty cool. Yeah. So he did the storyboards for that. I was like, so you did Toxic? He's like, yep, I did Toxic. I was like, that is amazing. And he worked on Twisters. Awesome. Yeah, and then he just worked on Twisters and all that stuff. So, he's doing great, man. He's doing great. It's just that, once in a while he's back there in comic books now, which is great, man. So you'll see him in conventions. So that's actually pretty cool.
Perfect. Well, before we let you go, I know you got a busy schedule. I got a busy schedule. So we have the Uncensored Nerds Network. We're looking to roll out. I think we talked. It was what, second week of February? 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks. Yeah, in 3 weeks.
All right.
So in 3 weeks, Beyond the Cape will be on the network. So you guys will be able to listen to them in the network. So just go on Spotify, search Uncensored Nerds, or just go on our social media, search Uncensored Nerds in there on Instagram, and there's a link in there, and then you can follow them there too as well. By all means, I want to make this clear, as I made it clear on the Comic-Con podcast. There is no change that's going to be happening on Beyond the Cape podcast. They are going to be on the network. Yes, I do have that producer right, but it doesn't make sense for me to go up to Ryan and say, change this and that, where the main reason I wanted Beyond the Cape to be part of the network is because of what they're doing right now. It makes no sense for me to tell him what to do at his own channel. That makes zero sense. So there is no change on the format, on what's going to happen in Beyond the Cape. There's no change whatsoever. You will still get the exact same Beyond the Cape you're getting now, but just on Spotify and a wider audience. And I think that that's something that Beyond the Cape definitely deserves, a wider audience to be exposed in. So there is no change. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on Uncensored Nerds Network. You can also go on our website, uncensorednerdsnetwork.com, or just put down Uncensored Nerds. Both of those, I have claim to those names. Sign up to the newsletter So every time there's something that comes up, we'll have it there too as well. There's going to be ways for you guys to support Beyond the Cape. That's going to be there too as well, or support the network as well. I don't know if I told you this yet, Ryan, but you're going to be making merch, so you got to have to do some designs. So
make it happen.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll sell the merch on the site too as well. We'll make that happen. So exciting things happening, man. So there's probably gonna be doing more interviews, man. So we don't know, right? So there's gonna be a lot more things there. So exciting things ahead. More things are gonna be announced as the days goes by. I will tell you that he will have some AdSense now too as well. So shout out to Comic Capsule and Gator Guard Comics. They're going to be sponsoring Beyond the Cape now too as well. So that's actually pretty cool. You gotta have to make some ad breaks there, man. I don't know if you have any experience in doing ad breaks, but you got to do some ad breaks.
Everyone, when you watch these videos, you're gonna love it because it's something we've never done before. But I will say, shout out to the Comic Capsule, because if there's one thing I hate with comic books, I know you should grade them if you want to make profit, but I just don't think I could ever encapsulate a comic book I could never read again. That product was such a great idea. I don't know why it took so long to make something like that.
It's like, man, I should have thought of that, right? Kind of thing.
I don't know how we all missed that. That was crazy.
Yeah. Because like if you put it in the short box or the long box, it fits so perfectly. It's like it's not even fun. Yeah, it's heavy. I mean, like it's always been heavy, but like it's like perfectly just aligned. It's like if you were just to encapsulate yourself like a giant-sized human being encapsulated, it's like that on that short box.
Everyone listening, go check them out because their product really, I will 100% vouch that they do such amazing stuff. We're happy definitely to give them an ad because I definitely don't want to get my stuff graded. I want to be able to read
it. For sure, man.
All right. Well, you heard it. We're going to have the websites. We're going to keep you updated. Follow Uncensored Nerds. Stay up to date. Follow our page. Take a look. We're going to have all the links as they become available so you can sign up, stay up to date. And everyone, we're glad for you to join us. We're all getting welcomed into the Uncensored Nerds Network. You're going to love it. We're going to bring you great content. Tim, thank you for coming back on. Thank you for making us a part of this. Everyone, stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming for you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone listening, have a good night.
Have a good night.